Melee is a game that is characterized by fast-paced, highly technical gameplay and wild and crazy combos. This is what the main draw is for a lot of people who pick up the game. However, in this fast-paced game, there exists a character who sits outside of the box, and even outside of that box, Jigglypuff. She's a strange character in the game, as she doesn't quote-unquote fit into Melee. She's slow, methodical, and doesn't get comboed anywhere near as hard as other characters, but punishes herself just as hard. Today, I want to talk about the stigma that comes with that, and the player who managed to rise above that stigma and prove that he's more than just his character. This is the story of the tournament that changed how the world saw the man known as Hungrybox. Before we get to Hungrybox though, I want to talk a bit more about Jigglypuff, and what makes her so different to the rest of the cast. Puff means, please don't hate me if I get this wrong, just comment and I'll make sure to favourite it so people can see it. You see, Puff doesn't really have any ground mobility. Her wave dash is extremely small, and her run speed is one of the worst in the game. Combine this with pretty weak grounded options in neutral, her main form of defense and offense is all in the air. However, this isn't really that crazy. A lot of characters approach by jumping. What makes Puff different though is her multiple jumps. This makes her play like a flying boxer, jumping into the air and just keeping you at bay with big hitboxes, then finding a spot to open you up for a KO punch. This playstyle is very different to any other character, and an odd one out for certain. This difference in play very often causes Puff players to be character specialists. They're great at Puff, but when it comes to other characters, they don't look traditional, to say the least. And this is important, so to give a bit more insight on this, I've got my mate and fellow content creator and Puff player, Jeremy, here to explain a bit more.
Hey, thanks for having me, Chaler. My boy Chaler and I have been playing since the Smash documentary came out, so listen up, Slippy kids. Since I started playing Melee in 2014, I always gravitated towards using Puff. She's one of the more unique characters in the cast and plays like no other, having for sure the most airtime, and undoubtedly so, since she's able to space out any enemies using her back air alone. Most people think that she's quite simple, just back air and win is what I always hear. But of course, Puff isn't that easy, and she comes with a ton of mix-ups. Mix-ups that primarily utilize back air at different times, drifting back or using cross-ups. And with that, playing other characters is completely different, and my Puff style even comes out when using characters like Fox or Falco. Both space animals having an auto-cancel back air to try and space out opponents. Using cross-up nair like I do with Puff translates into my Fox as well, and using other characters' aerial drift to my advantage even if theirs isn't as good as Puff. Trying to implement my Puff strengths into other characters come out wonky in the eye of a non-Puff player, but playing a more spacing aerial drift type of style suits my play better. Everyone sees Puff secondaries as trash, but don't worry, we're on the come up, having a unique spacing style instead of approaching aimlessly with running shine. Our tech skill on the other hand sucks a fat one, so let's just call it even.
Thanks a lot, Jeremy. While these traits are interesting, they can often cause a lot of stigma. In fighting games in general, people love to complain about characters.
Everybody watching, I frickin' hate Jigglypuff. I think she's the worst character. Why can she press down B and kill you? It doesn't make any sense.
And some people will transfer that character complaining to try to invalidate someone's skill, saying they're carried by their character, that they wouldn't be as good if they played someone else. While this argument is ultimately just rubbish and pointless, it obviously sucks to have people come at your skill level like that. And so, a Puff player will often take the brunt of this due to their specialization, as the people who say this feel validated when they see Puff players play the top tiers incorrectly. These insults will only be heightened if you so happen to be, I don't know, the best in the world.
So little execution that someone that can't jump, cancel, grab can be the best player.
Thus bringing us to Hungrybox, the best Melee player in the world for 3 years. Everyone loves to hate the best. Most people don't want to root for the person who's expected to win after all.
The dream dead. Yeah, dream's dead. Armada pumps his fist.
So when you combine that with Hungrybox playing a character that caused a lot of people to say he wasn't that good and was just carried by Puff, even his fellow top players sometimes, then you get someone who's not going to have the best of time from the public. And it wasn't just the character, there were other things that I'm not really going to get into in this video. But know that the treatment was bad enough BC that it caused Incident C to happen in the first place. What's BC? Before Crab. For the people confused, in 2019, during Hungrybox's dominance, he went on a loser's run at Pound and ended up taking the tournament over Melee's Golden Boy Mango in a bracket reset. The response to this was for someone in the crowd to throw a crab at Hungrybox. Yes, you heard right, a crab. However, this event is important to the story, as it was what triggered a change in the public perception of Hungrybox. The crab went viral, and everything in AC began to shift the public treatment of Hungrybox, and it felt like people were more sympathetic towards him. Then we get to 4 months later, at what I believe was a crucial turning point in the public perception of HBox, a tournament called Genesis Black. A small tournament being held in SoCal, where HBox would decide that he wouldn't enter with his main Jigglypuff, but with his secondaries under the name Genghis Juan. Now, to give you an idea of how low the expectations were for Hungrybox at this event, he was seeded 27th. This is the #1 player in the world for 2 years running at the time, and his secondaries were seeded below non-top 100 players. We know that top player secondaries can do well at events, especially smaller ones. This is in a post-Plup Luigi world. And yet, because it was a Hungrybox, a Puff player, no one expected him to do well at this event.
Is Juan just good? Ooh. Maybe it's not just Puff. Maybe he's just good.
He was expected to lose his first round in top 32 against Null, a SoCal PR player, and top 100 hopeful at the time. But then the set starts, and Hungrybox takes the first stock, and then the second. It's weird Fox gameplay, but it's working, and you can really see that Puff player in him. And one thing to mention is how against anyone at this event, HBox just has the mental edge. The public perception of his secondaries was so bad that even a player of Null's level losing would be tilting him.
If he washes Genghis Juan, it's pretty expected in terms of like whoever is aware of Null. And if he loses, it hurts because it's like, you know, HBox's secondary who doesn't play, so.
He knows people would take the piss out of him, and that definitely will affect your play. You don't want to lose so bad that it just becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. HBox takes game 1, but still the commentators don't have a doubt that he's gonna lose.
Body.
Oh, dude, okay. So I think Null's
Nice.
gonna win this, but not this match.
It's wild how they talk about Null losing.
Chat, wondering if this is really going to be it, if this is the end of Null's career.
Oh, true, huh?
You know, the boys won't let him live it down, that's for sure.
It's like Null's getting upset by an O2er or something. This is the best player in the world. Game 2, HBox just runs all over Null. People seem to slowly be coming around.
Yeah, dude, I didn't think he was gonna 2-0 like that. 3-stock last game too.
Thought it'd be a close one.
Me too.
Genghis Juan may not have killed millions, but it has claimed 1 soul. But up next is where he will truly get exposed. He's up against Lucky. Against this caliber of player, even the best players' secondaries will need to have been practiced and ready. And we see that in game 1. Lucky just kind of runs over HBox. But he does show flashes of life. It's not a complete wash, but he is getting outclassed in the Ditto. So he decides to switch to Sheik. Will Sheik's simpler punish combine with his great defensive game for the result he wants?
Oh no! Oh! H-Fox? H-Sheik? Sheik Fox? I think this will be a clean rest of the game for Lucky, rest of the set. That's my call.
Oh, wait a minute!
But shit like this could be happening. Oh my god! All the way. Oh no! No! Oh my god, alright. Genghis Juan up 2-1 on Lucky.
HBox takes the next 2 games against Lucky and is suddenly up in the set. His great DI and air control allowed him to keep Lucky's openings to a minimum and maximize his own, as well as his Sheik just looking great in the scrambles. At this point, the haters have probably all but been silenced, but could he take the set? Unfortunately, Lucky gets the download on the sheet and is able to take the rest of the set pretty cleanly. However, HBox's performance in this set wouldn't be forgotten, and he would go on to make top 8, beating another SoCal PR player and 25th seed Eddie Mexico. In post-trailer here, I somehow missed that Eddie Mexico was ranked in the top 100 in the last rankings before this event. I really don't know how I made that mistake. That makes this win his best win at the tournament, and I don't have anything in the script to talk about it. So I'm really sorry about that. People still definitely remember the Lucky set the most, but yeah, I just wanted to highlight this win here a bit more because I didn't have anything for it recorded, and I only realized it when I got to this point in the edit. So really sorry about that. Won't make that mistake again. Before falling to the younger Kadoran in top 8, where for some reason he decided to not pull out Sheik again and go Ganon. I really believe this performance to be significant for Hungrybox in many ways. For one, I never heard anyone speak poorly of his secondaries after this, and I certainly didn't hear people calling him carried anywhere near as much. People also seemed to gain a new respect for his path, appreciating what he was good at more and more. So while it may have just been a small, fun event for HBox, I truly do believe that Genghis 1 played a big factor in changing the face of who Hungrybox is into who he is today.